Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB. I know this is random because I just did my 31 Days of Horror. I'm also doing 100 movies I've never seen before reviews, but this, maybe because of the most recent American Pie installment, I decided to go back, rewatch, and review American Pie, the original! This was a 1999 comedy film that was directed by Paul Weitz, and the plot is we meet Jim, played by Jason Biggs. Him and his group of friends, they're all seniors in high school, they're all virgins, and so of course, before prom, before they graduate, they want to lose their virginity, so they create this pact where they all decide, hey, we're going to become men, we're going to do this is a big deal for us, you're going to see it. But you see that it's very awkward, it's not easy, all of the goofy mistakes and horrible things that they do along the way to try to get there. That's kind of the fun of it. There's so many characters, there's so much going on in this movie. First of all, I love this movie, I do. This is in my top 10 favorite comedies of all time. I know that very recently there were some people who they either were rewatching it during quarantine or they watched it for the first time and found it very problematic. I will admit that rewatching it now, there are some moments and plot points that can be looked at that way, but maybe it's because I'm a dude. You can call me insensitive. I don't care. I enjoy it. I laugh at it. I find it funny. Yes, look, if I was a woman, and maybe there would be things that I'd be offended by, but let me talk about what I love about the movie, talk about why, and talk about the characters, and then maybe I'll try to defend some of those things. First things first, Jason Biggs as Jim. Jim is the goofball. He is the one who always F's up and always just does things and has the worst luck. The very beginning of the movie is him going to masturbate, about to try, and look, who didn't do this when they were younger? I know I did, where you're trying to go through, and this is old. You could tell that this is definitely a certain time period because teenagers today, they won't know what the hell you're talking about. As far as flicking through the cable channels, you come across one of those channels that you can kind of sort of see something that maybe you're not supposed to see. But you see enough to where maybe you can have some fun. And then his parents walking in and all of that going on. It's hilarious. It is. The scene later on when he has sex with a pie, which is, I guess, the point of this title. That scene, too, is hilarious and awesome. And I think that scene and many other scenes in the movie exudes why I love Eugene Levy as Jim's dad. Eugene Levy is probably my favorite character of this movie. I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago. I would have said probably Stifler, but rewatching this now, Eugene Levy is such a great dad. He is. He's so understanding. He's so supportive. He doesn't judge Jim, at least not outwardly. He doesn't make fun of him. He doesn't yell at him. He doesn't condemn him. He says, look, I get it. You're a teenager. You're having these feelings. You're having these moments. I was young once too. Let me help you, son. And sure, it's awkward. Yes, it's weird. Yes, him giving him Hustler and all these magazines, it's the goof of it, it's the fun of it, but Eugene Levy plays it with such earnest, such care, that I'm like, man, I wish I had a dad like that. I do. Come on. Also, Chris Klein, pretty much one of the top characters of this movie. I almost forget how much of a story he has. He plays Oz, and because, again, they're all trying to get laid, he joins the choir, right? And it sounds goofy. He gets made fun of it hard at first, but he starts to like this girl, Heather, played by Mina Savari, and you like that because she comes off as just a nice girl, not too prissy, which she even points out how people think of her, how people prejudge her. Again, people can say just on a superficial first impression level of, hey, this is a guy's point of view, but I think the girls do get a point of view. I think the girl characters do get their sides of their characters presented in a likable, understandable way. Heather is one of those things. Also, Tara Reid, before the drugs and the plastic surgery, Tara Reid plays Victoria, Vicky, and her and Kevin's relationship, Thomas Ian Nicholas, and he's the one who comes up with the pact. He's the one who it's most important for him to lose his virginity. He's always bringing it up to Tara Reid. Even his brother, played by Casey Affleck, provides him the sex book that's in the library and kind of gonna help him hone his skills. That was very amusing. Eddie K. Thomas, he plays Finch, aka Shitbreak if you're Stifler, and he's one of those. He's so almost well beyond his years, right? He has this way of going about his reputation in high school, and he overly plans things out, and for the most part, though, it works out. Other than his bathroom scene, he seems to know what he's doing as far as his reputation goes, as far as getting girls to maybe notice him. Seann William Scott, though, as Stifler, he stands out in so many ways because, and I can say this even more so now, having watched the direct-to-DVD American Pie movies and how much they try to have a Stifler-like character in those films and how unlikable they come off. Seann William Scott is likable because first, yes, Stifler is a dick, he is an asshole, he is a misogynist, he is all those things that you can say, but he plays it so straightforward. He plays it so believable. You believe that this dude is he's immature, and he can't help himself. He's constantly even bagging on his friends. You could argue that in a lesser writing of a movie, he would just be the typical bully character, but he's actually friends with a group. I mean, they don't necessarily really like him all that much, but they tolerate him. They kind of use him for like his house for parties and stuff like that. You could tell that he's at a level where he's popular, but he's not so popular to where he doesn't hang out with these guys. He does. And there's something about that friendship that he has with them that I think grounds him a little bit more than most characters in this type of a role has. Obviously, I guess too, it helps that his character is not excluded from being made fun of or from having the gags pulled on him. It's not just Jim. That scene at the party where he drinks the drink. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's gross as all hell. But I remember watching this movie with the commentary, and the directors and writers said that, oh, well, them and their friends, all of this stuff pretty much happened to them in high school. That's where all of this comes from. And I think that's also what makes it funny too, because it could happen, or it has happened. There's so many of these characters that I related to from my experiences in high school in so many ways. Shannon Elizabeth as Nadia. This is where I just wrote it down as the scene, because this is where people have the most issue with. Nadia's this foreign exchange girl who she just wants some tutoring at first from Jim, but it's clear that maybe she wants to have the sex. And when she's at his house, Jim sets up a webcam, unbeknownst to her, to record her getting naked and masturbating in his bed. And at first, it's just for his friends, which by itself is still messed up and still very much wrong. So there's that. But also, he accidentally sends it to everybody in the school. So everyone sees it, becomes a whole thing. Yes, this is very wrong. Yes, they violated her privacy. And yes, it makes them seem like horrible, horrible people. I agree. But because Jim is such an idiot, because Jim ends up embarrassing himself, not only with the dumb striptease that he does, strip dancing, but him pre-ejaculating twice before he even honestly gets to touch her. I mean, that scene plays out. It's such a long scene, but it's fascinating. It's funny. I mean, to me, it works. I can understand if it's problematic. I can understand if some people aren't really enjoying it like I do. But I just find it funny. I'm laughing. I'm howling with laughter the whole entire time during that scene and any subsequent scene of Jim being embarrassed or made fun of about that. I mentioned Tara Reid's character. She has a best friend named Jessica, played by Natasha Lyonne. I like her because she's the cool girl. She just has these moments where she stands out as a girl who just doesn't care about anything. She gives advice here and there, but for the most part, she's just strolling through high school. She knows more than most girls. Chris Owen plays Sherman, aka the Shermanator. He's such a side character, but the moments that he has is very memorable. Like at the party at the beginning, he's bragging about having sex and sleeping with this hot chick there, and he's bragging and bragging and bragging. Of course, you find out that he's lying and that he didn't sleep with this girl. And when he gets embarrassed for it at prom, it's so satisfying because that character was so annoying and a douchebag. Allison Hannigan plays Michelle, and she seems like she's just going to be a background character. She's a band camp geek. But when things don't go Jim's way with Nadia, he ends up asking her to prom, and she seems like she doesn't know about what happened. So her talking about band camp, like that whole scene, very memorable. This one time at band camp, but then when she gets dirty herself, I think that's when you appreciate her just as a person, how much she didn't care that Jim was kind of a loser. She used him for sex as well. During the sex scene when she's like, "What's my name, bitch?" I mean, it's hilarious, one. But for two, it's not her being used because there's nobody else for Jim to ask. No, she very much used him. So once again, I think that's why the female characters don't get as slighted as some people might say. Jennifer Coolidge plays Stifler's mom. How can you not talk about Stifler's mom and how the term MILF was created from this movie? How hilarious is that? John Cho plays, his character in the credits is literally named MILF Guy because he sees the picture of Stifler's mom. He says, "Wow, what a MILF, a mother I'd love to fuck." MILF, MILF, MILF. And then the payoff of her and Finch at the end is so classic. It's so hilarious. It became a big running gag throughout every one of these movies. What more can I say, though, about American Pie? This film is so good. It's so funny. In my opinion, I think it holds up. I think it's one of those films that I can pop in whenever, no matter how many times I've seen it, no matter how many times that I can enjoy it. It doesn't get old. I laugh each and every time. I love laughing. So that's why I loved rewatching this. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of American Pie? Do you like it as much as I do? Am I overhyping this, overrating this? Do you not care for it? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!